Okay, here we are again for episode 2. Nothing's happened since yesterday. I haven't even touched it. Hopefully the sound issues are sorted out now. I can only hope they are. So let's get on with doing our job as a truck driver. And we're thinking about it, and I'm going to go through a few of the mods that I use and what they do broadly and why I use them. So, and it's looking, we may as well talk straight away about the HCT, the Freight Market HCT Double Trailers mod, which has just caused that. Okay, that was odd and slightly disturbing, but it does appear to be a little bit, I want to say overpowered, but that's not really the right way to describe it. I think more than anything, it seems, because I've started in Finland, it seems to be just giving nothing but double trailer jobs. So I think, and the problem is with them that I'm finding is something, as I was saying, that I like to do is to check out all of the, now this could be a problem here. I'm good, but I'm about to find out just how good I am. Yeah, as I say, it's oh, this is going to be unpleasant. Have we managed somehow to get away? Have we gotten away with it? Good God, we have. Yeah, so it's good, but it just seems to go a little bit overboard. I don't want every damn job I do to be 2 40-foot trailers. But aside from that, what I might do, I might have a little look in the code of the mod and see, because all mods for ETS2 and ATS, they all follow the basic line that they're, apart from the graphics mods, any mod that changes the game data is just a very simple notepad file, text file. That's all it is. So they're remarkably easy to edit and play about with. Again, anybody who's eagle-eyed would have seen that one of the mods I put on was more time. Now, the one I was using was more time updated. Now, that mod is a mod where I've played with it. It's actually more time to deliver, and it it essentially gives you more time to make your delivery. It's that simple. It changes the average speed for computation from 62 kilometers an hour. Excuse me one moment. Come on, move. Changes it from 62 kilometers an hour average computation speed. Why is he just standing there? To 50, which just gives you that little extra time, so you can take a bit of time, especially if you get hit with something like this. This is one of the annoying effects of the real traffic mod. I can only assume it's the real traffic density that causes this, as it never used to happen before I had that on. But back to more time updated. I just updated it so as it allows you to sleep 3 times in a row. So what I did was I thought, okay, now as a rule, I believe drivers, it has to be something like 11 hours between. So okay, so what we'll do, because the standard setup is, I can't remember the driving time, but it's 9 hours sleep in this game, and I'm going to be a naughty boy because I'm not sitting here all day. So it's going to hurt the truck, but well, it might not actually. No, it didn't. I was going slow enough. Right, bye, you load of idiots. Good. So yeah, I've lost my train of thought now. Yeah, more time. So I've adjusted it so as I can sleep for 4 hours at a time, which means I can sleep for either 4, 8 or 12. And that's basically just for my own use, because I like, if I'm honest, I like to drive in the daytime. This is one of the reasons I've started all the way up here in Finland, because you get about 3 hours of darkness and that's it. And I prefer driving in the daytime. Night driving's fine, but it can become a bit of a pain in the backside, so that's why I do that. And again, like I say, ever so easy to do. You just go through your Steam folder, into Workshop, find your game, which will have a code, will have a number, but generally if you just put a mod on, it'll be the one. If your folders are done by date order, it'll be the one at the top, and then you just have to go through and figure out which folder's which, and you pull the files that you need out of it. Ever so easy. One of these days, if anybody wants me to, I might make a little thing about how to do that. It's the one bit of modding that I find extremely easy, because it's file structure, it's editing. As long as you know those basics, it's really simple. So, and again, I've completely forgotten where we're going. Turkey to Aeroflot again, which probably means I won't get the bonus. And I need to find one that isn't a bloody double, because they're starting to annoy me. Okay. As if by magic. The dolphin sound. That is a mod called... what is it called? Anti-radar. Obviously, it does what it says on the tin. It's just a little dolphin sound, as you heard, that just warns you that there's speed cameras. So stick at the prescribed speed limit and you won't get a fine. There does seem to be one small issue with it, and that is that even in an area where there are no speed cameras, and I have done this, I've tested it, I've driven along quite happily at 110, 120 kilometres an hour, and I've driven right past a police car, and the police car has done absolutely nothing. It's like I wasn't even there. So whether that is due to this mod, I can only assume it is, because it is to do with detecting your speed. If it is, then so be it, but I'd rather have... I tend not to speed anyway, unless I've taken an urgent delivery and I've got to get my foot down because I've got caught up in a traffic jam, which this is starting to look like. Good man there. That's one of the nice things in the recent update. Noise may have gone a bit high there, I'm not sure, but that's one of the nice things in the recent update. If you're indicating, a lot of the time drivers behind you will actually stop. Now, is he going to... Good man. And they'll let you in, which is a nice feature. They don't always do it, but they do a lot of the time, which is, again, pretty good for realism. So yeah, so that's the anti-radar, or the radar detector. I'll put a proper list of these in the description of the video so you can just copy and paste them into Steam Workshop. So the next one I want to talk about is, well, it's actually on screen right now. And it's the GPS for quick jobs. And as you can see, bottom left hand side of my windscreen, I have a small GPS, TomTom, whatever, sat-nav. I find this pretty invaluable since I've got it, because I like to drive with a very clean interface. I don't like the simulation mirrors. I like to bring my field of view out so I'm straight on and I can see it nicely on the mirrors. And obviously hat switch on my steering wheel, I just look over to the right. I've also got the zoom in and out set up, so it just makes everything a lot nicer and a lot cleaner. So I don't like having this up. It cuts a big swath of the screen, and if you've got a truck with GPS in that area and you own it, it's really, really distracting. So I do away with that, and I got this mod that enables you to have GPS on the trucks that you're doing a quick job on. I love it, and that leads very nicely into the minimal advisor interface. And that's what you can see along the bottom. I think it's become a very popular mod. I've seen it on a lot of other ETS and ATS videos. And again, it's a cleaner screen. If you need to see something, it's not a problem. You just hit your button, and there we go. You can see it. I can still see probably, 98% of the screen. I can't see my speed, but I can see everything else. So some people. So yeah. So that's very quick. That's the reason I use these particular mods, because they are just nice. They're a quality of life mod for me. So then we look at the realistic mods. I've got 4 of them. We have the realistic rain, realistic building lights, realistic vehicle lights, and the FAEL environment. Now the environment one affects the lights, the sunlight affects the trees, the vegetation, and I've just missed my turning because I was too busy talking. This would be so much easier in ATS, because you'd almost guarantee that median would not have any barriers on it, and I could just look around, make sure there's not too much traffic, and do a 180. As it is, I've now got to drive all the way down here to turn around to drive all the way back. Oh well, never mind, my fault, I'm an idiot. So yes, the environment, FAEL environment. That's the clouds, veg, everything that you see. It makes it such a nice environment to be in. Now, where the hell am I going? In fact, I'm going to be the naughty one, because there is no median apart from grass. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that because I don't want to be driving miles and miles out of my way just because I was dopey. So 90% of what I was going to say there was a curse. So I sometimes have to pause and think about it. The realistic vehicle lights, well, you can see them. Now we've got some traffic coming the other way. And they do look nice. You've got good headlights and they're coming down as you get closer to them because of perspective. The building lights, being in Finland, can't really show how that works because you get barely any darkness in Finland in this game. It's almost the summertime of Finland. It's in fact it's one thing I'm hoping. I know they keep saying it, SCS, they keep saying no and they're not going to be doing seasons, but I think it's something that would work. You know, doesn't have to give us a year, just give us a date, you know, or even day 1, week 1, you know, day 7, week 1 leads into day 1, week 2, or anything like that, of month 1, of month 2. Oh, Jesus. People. So yeah, you know, that's something I would like to see, because then again, you know, I like Finland because you've got the HCTs, which do bring you good money, really good money, and yeah, it's just it's perpetual light. So as I was saying, I prefer driving in the day, and if I start in Finland, Sweden, Norway, gives me the opportunity to pretty much drive constantly in the day. The reason I've not picked Norway, even though I've got ancestry there, is that the cities I find are a little too far apart. Not for me, but they're a bit too far apart for a high-end driver. Because the one thing I always do, and a lot of people advise against it, but it's the way I've always played, and I personally feel you should always, you paid for the game, so play it the way you like to play it. We have rain. And we have red sky at night. Lovely. So I always build up my first garage until I have my 4 hired drivers in there. I also don't hire drivers. I used to hire drivers pretty much as soon as I can afford it, but I don't now. I was reading a forum post and somebody was pointing out the fact that there seems to be a kind of hidden formula almost for the drivers, that it actually does help them to earn more money if they have a better truck. Now to me that makes perfect sense. If you give somebody a thing that can barely pull the skin off a rice pudding, they're not going to be able to take as many loads or make as much money for you as somebody who's got a 750 horsepower Volvo FH. It's not going to happen, because the guy in the Volvo can take bigger loads which are worth more. Taking a very wide angle there. It makes sense. And amazingly, I'm actually going to be able to park up. So, yeah, I always now give my hired driver, is that... yeah, that is an HCT. So I always now give my driver the best bit of kit that I can. So there we have first delivery done of the day. So that's my realistic mods. Now, another mod that I really truly love is the longer trains mod. I'm not sure if in this video I'll be able to showcase it, because I'm not sure if we really have any of them here. What's this? Ooh, we have an FH 750 as what I was just talking about. Now, one thing I'm finding out with this HCT, just about as I say, we can see down here articulated, 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 and now if we move along, we finally have one that is not an articulated, and that's quite a long run going into Sweden, and it's 16.5 per kilometre, giving us 3,700, and this is nearly double the money. So stands to reason I'm going to go where the money is, because until I have 250, 300,000, I won't be able to get the truck, because that's the type of person I am. I want to go for the best as soon as possible. But going back to mods, so the longer trains, as I say, I'm not sure about trains in Finland, we'll just accept this, but if I have the opportunity, obviously I'll showcase it. But it's a great mod. Obviously normal trains are usually only a few carriages long. You barely have time to put your parking brake on before it's time to turn it off and the barriers are rising. The longer trains mod, some of these trains are 15, 20 carriages long. So you're sitting there for 3, 4, 5 minutes while you're waiting. Makes it a lot more realistic. I also use a very similar mod in ATS, which at some point, if we take off with this channel, I'll probably do a series on ATS as well. And again, in ATS I use very similar mods to the mods I use here, and I do it a very similar way. I like to open up one state in ATS and then move on. But that's for the future. And now another mod that I use, True Mirror FOV. Again, it's a bit difficult to show it with the rain, but we'll let the truck get a bit wet. It's not my truck. So as you can see, the mirrors there, they're showing ever such a tiny amount of the back of the truck, and the majority is the trailer. Now what I do tend to do, because I've managed many times when driving to turn in, pull into the left-hand lane, not realising, because I'm looking at the mirrors there and I'm thinking, yeah, we're all good, but I haven't done this. Oh no, there's a car there. Bang, straight into it. Big fine. I feel like an idiot. So one thing I tend to do, and I didn't do it in the last drive, again I was busy talking, so I go to my small mirrors and move them down, and that just gives me it would if it wasn't chucking it down with rain, that just gives me a little better view of what's beside my truck. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than standard. So let's get the window back up again. And obviously I've already spoken fairly well actually at length about the real traffic density mod, which I mean, I love it. I love the real traffic density. It makes it feel like you're actually in a real world. In fact, before I believe it's here we're coming out of. Looks like it, doesn't it? Don't think we're going down by the sheep bales there somehow. It's hay bales, straw bales, silage. No, they're silage, aren't they? Yes, they're silage. Lights on, and away we go. So yeah, the real traffic density mod. Awesome mod. And what I find with it, yes, it can give you a bit of weirdness every now and then, as a lot of mods can do. It's just the nature of the beast, I'm afraid. If you want to play the game with a few mods to make things a little different, that's what you have to accept. But it's a great mod as a rule, because if you're going through a town or city at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, you might be the only bit of traffic on the road. If you're going through one, if you mistime it and you end up going through in a realistic rush hour, so I mean, we don't really have much in the way of rush hours these days. We do seem to be a 24-hour society now. So it's very much different to when I was younger, when I were a lad, when rush hours ran from about 7 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock in the morning, and then from about 4:30, 4:45, up until about 6 o'clock. If you'll notice, morning rush hours always were longer because everybody was trudging to work. Evening rush hours were extremely quick because everybody was rushing home to get their dinner. one thing I did forget to do, and it's something I do try to do because of the viewpoint, when you zoom in, although on this it's actually not too bad, I can see my speed limit, I can see my cruise control, so on the Volvo it's not too bad, but on some of the trucks I do find it fairly necessary to move my viewpoint down, so I'm tilting down so I can essentially see to the bottom of the dash. It's a better viewpoint for seeing your speed limits and any information you need to on the dash by zooming in. But back to the real traffic density. I'm off on tangents and rambling again. I really must stop that. But yeah, so if you're coming through a town or city at 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, or 5 o'clock in the evening, 9 times out of 10, depending on which way you are, if you're going into the city or out of the city, you'll find you'll be absolutely rammed. You'll be solid. You'll be creeping forward. I believe it actually shows some of it was shown in the video I did yesterday in the first few minutes as I was leaving with the stop-start traffic on my first run in the Volvo. It's a pain, but it's realistic. It's the way life is. It's what you have to accept. You will have pockets of traffic. It's like now at the moment we're at 6 minutes past midnight, and apart from a few cars and trucks behind me, mainly trucks, I've just seen a coach and a car. Now this is realistic for midnight because you won't have a lot of people. There was a truck, another truck. That's generally the traffic you will get thanks to this mod at night. So as I say, to me it's an essential mod. It's probably one of the best mods I've ever found, in fairness. So moving from that, I have actually got them written down because I use 23 mods, I believe it is. So unfortunately I'm getting a bit older and I don't quite have the memory I had, and it wasn't that good to begin with. So yes, the next one would be another quality of life mod, I suppose. And it's the co-insurance. Now obviously in American Truck Simulator we have co-insurance, and it's brilliant. It goes up and down depending on how safe a driver you are. So if you're a good, safe driver, you can get down as low as I think it's 3 or 4%. If you're an absolute nightmare driver and you're hitting everything going, you could be up in the teens. I mean, it's still better than what you would be paying. So you'll only be paying 15% of the actual damage. So you may have a €40,000 bill, but you're only paying a percentage of that above what is essentially your excess. And I believe on this, it's been a while since I've actually had a profile with a truck I've owned, actually. I believe I think it's €866, which is a kind of bizarre number, but I'm sure it works in one of the other currency calculations. It could be £750, and then because of the currency exchange rate in the game, that could be why it's 866 in euros. Not sure. We'll have to have a look. always like nosing around in files. It's one of my great joys. I am a self-confessed nerd when it comes to that. And yes, the last mod that really I'm going to talk about is the speed limit indicator, which if you look back in this video to the DAF we were just driving, where the sat-nav was on that, with that, that is replaced. If you have to buy the indicator as an accessory when you're buying or upgrading your truck. You have to buy it separately. I can't remember how much it is. It's only a few €100. And it puts in the space where that GPS was, it puts a large square, well, rectangle. Oh, hello dolphin. More speed traps, and there's the camera itself. What it does, it puts up a grey and black rectangle in that side. It's very nicely done. It actually looks like it's stuck to the windscreen. And that shows you the current speed limit. Because I find, even though, yes, I've got the speed limit up on the GPS there, it can be a bit small, can be a bit annoying to see. And sometimes, depending on the truck you've got, you can't even see it. So I have that. It's mainly because I was actually checking earlier, I've got just under 1,200 hours logged on this game, and over 800 hours logged on American Truck. And even though I've got all those hours, I have never achieved many achievements, in fairness, but one in particular, and that's Test Drive Limited, where you have to drive 1,000 kilometres in each of the manufacturer's trucks. Now, there are trucks in this game I don't like. I don't like the Ivacos because I just don't think they're powerful enough. I'm not a fan of a couple of the Scanias because I find just the seating position and the design of it is just really awkward. And I'm not a massive fan of some of the Renaults. They're great trucks to drive. I have actually driven the Renault Magnum in the real world many years ago, and they were always good trucks, always good units. And to go away from what I was talking about there again, that seemed to take quite a long time to slow down. What was the point of giving us an 80 kilometre speed limit for about 200 yards? Really? They're taking their lessons from the UK government. I'm going to drop it to 50 anyway because we're coming into the city. So speed limit indicators are a must for if I'm driving some of them trucks, because your field of view, to get your mirrors in, you can't see anything on the dash. So I have the minimal interface and the speed limit indicator, and that way I know what I'm doing 90% of the time, or as much as I ever know what I'm doing. So yeah, so that's basically a rundown on the mods that I use. There are a few others, but they really do nothing that affects the actual gameplay. I've got a few mods that cover voice navigation. I've got the Grand Tour because I just find those three guys absolutely hilarious. I've been watching them ever since good old days of Top Gear. I've seen a vast majority of the various shows they do on Amazon and whatnot. This could be a bit of a pain because I want to try and bring this as close as I can get away with. I'm not sure if it's going to accept it. Oh, it did. That was a bit of luck. And I also, because it's a very calming but also slightly bizarre voice nav, is Morgan Freeman. To give you an example, take the third exit, you come out to a roundabout, take the third exit for freedom. You pull in somewhere and you have to U-turn. Make a U-turn, let's keep our enemies guessing. It's pretty cool. Let's be honest, it's Morgan Freeman, and he's just cool anyway. So yeah, I mean, it's those sort of mods. I think are, they're all mods really are individual preference, but the mods I've described there, they're mods that, I think they're pretty much essential. I honestly I couldn't really imagine playing this game, driving in this game without them. They've just become a part of the whole game. So here we are again. Right, we've got a skill point. Now in yesterday's video, I took the ADR class 6, which is up here, and that's for the biohazard. That's so I then have the ADR class to carry medical vaccines, which is one of the best, if not the best, paying cargo. I think really, if you want to go and get more money than that, you're really going to be looking at your big diggers, your very heavy, nightmarish loads on the low boys that have got sort of 3 articulation points, and they're an absolute nightmare. Now, one thing that we also need, because nothing with medical vaccines has come up, the next thing you need for medical vaccines is high value. You only need the first rank, as that unlocks your high value jobs. Everything else is just giving you a higher reward. So what I tend to do on ETS is I get the ADR 6, first of high value, then I'll always go for the first of fragile, because that again unlocks fragile goods. Then I'll go for the first 2 ranks of just in time, because that gives you your important and gives you urgent. Once I've got those, then I concentrate almost exclusively for the next 6 levels on long distance, to bring myself up to, in the end, I can drive anywhere in Europe. And so far I think the longest trip I've done was just under 4,000 kilometres. A good friend of mine that I play online with, he had one, I think it was about 4,300. So you can get really good jobs, and they're sort of an entire day to drive them. I'm not at work today, right, great, I've not got to go anywhere, I can do this job. So we'll take that. And one more thing before I call it a day for this video is some gameplay options. Obviously in yesterday's video My first delivery, I had to stop and tell them where I wanted to go. Again, a bit realism breaking, bit immersion breaking. So I came back here and I changed parking delivery to give me random parking. So I don't know where I'm going to be parking. I don't know if I'm going to have to reverse it. I don't know if I'm going to have a really tight area to do it. I have seen some of them where I've essentially got a parallel park. And parallel parking in Arctic is not the funnest thing in the world. My preferred job length, I always leave it around half, because it's just, I don't see the point in setting it all the way up high or all the way down low. I don't really think it has an effect. I might be wrong, but I don't think it has an effect. Now, random road events. That's that's another mod to talk about that I had forgotten. And it's called Daniel's Random Events. Again, this has kind of become an essential mod for me, which is probably why I didn't think of it. And it's actually not on the workshop. It's not on the Steam Workshop. You have to go to the SCS forum. I'll put the link in the description for the video. But it's an absolutely brilliant mod. I haven't really seen much from it. But what it essentially does is it takes your standard random events, like somebody's at the side of the road with their bonnet up, and it just sort of embellishes them. You'll get vehicles, if it's roadworks, you'll get vehicles further down before you come to it, informing you, right, you might want to think about going into the other lane now, because this lane's going to be closed a few hundred yards. You also get crashes even on the inside. It's a great mod. I can't really praise it enough. As I say, I'll put the link into that in the description. I'm noticing one thing I haven't done, which I normally do, and that's time zones. As we're driving throughout Europe, I always like full info. It just, again, it's immersion. It's immersion. Drive shaft torque. I'm sure you may have noticed when I've been pulling away, if I don't tend to put my foot down too hard, because it's an articulated lorry. You're going to kill your drive shaft. But you'll notice if drive shaft torque, as I've got it, is all the way up, you actually, the cab, if you put your foot down, the cab will actually tilt. It will try and twist away from you. And that's nice. It gives a bit of a kick on it. I never have the truck speed limiter on, because the truck speed limiter in this game, I believe, is still set to 90. And if you go to the UK in this game, and if you go to Romania, and there are a few other places as well, I believe, you can go at 100. Well, if you have the limiter on, you can't. So all the other lorry traffic in the area, you're now holding them up. So I don't bother with the speed limiter. I know what the speed limit is. I can control myself. I'm a grown man. I don't need a nanny. The rain sensor, we've been hit with rain a couple of times in both videos, and that's just automatic windscreen wipers. Automatic retarder and engine brake, at the moment I have those on. I am looking to buy off of Amazon. It's something I've been wanting and dreaming about for many years, and it's for steering wheels. It's compatible with the Thrustmaster 300 and the Logitech 25, 27 and 29, so also the 920, the 923 and all the other various numbers. I'll put a link in for it as well in the description, but that is, you take the wheel off and you put this between your paddles and your wheel, and it's stalks that come out, and it's got your indicators, it has your indicator stalk, windscreen wipers, headlights, the lot. So you actually turn your steering wheel, well, it becomes much more realistic. It's around about 250 quid. I think they go from 230 up to about 270, I think, because each one is slightly different depending on the steering wheel it's for. But at the moment I have to have the retarder and engine brake on automatic, basically because I've run out of buttons. The automatic engine and electricity start, I have that off, so I have to actually start my electricity, so it's ready to start, and then I have a proper key switch, turn that to the right, and it turns it on. And it just, again, it's immersion. Automatic parking brake engagement, that just means that when you go into the truck, on quick jobs especially, the truck starts with the parking brake on, so as it's, again, realistic. Everything, if you're looking at this, you'll notice everything really is to do with realism. Now the truck and trailer stability right up there at the top, yes, I've got them turned all the way up. That's because I don't like the way that the physics work in this game sometimes. Sometimes they're a bit of a pain, they don't really make a lot of sense, and if you have it turned even just down to sort of 3/4, you'll end up with the trailer going over because you've turned a corner. Some of the corners I turned there at 15 kilometres an hour, 10 kilometres an hour, yeah, the trailer will tip. So it's not particularly realistic. Like smart cruise control, tolerance of 0, it just means that it does everything in its power with the retarder and the engine brake to keep at whatever speed while you're going downhill, because it's a very nice, easy way to get yourself busted. And right, that is going to do it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you'd like to share with any of your friends, please do. And I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.